Testing 5. Testing 6.
Check. Looks like
Testing
we're good.
7. Testing 8. Testing 9. Number 9. Number 9. That's calling out like a deli order or something.
It's John Lennon at the counter at Gelson's.
Now serving number 9.
Now serving number 9. Number 9.
Yeah, you'd probably fuck up my order as badly as that one person did the last time I went there.
What, to Gelson's? Oh, yeah, she was really bad.
And she wasn't even using the metric system.
Gelson's is such a source of stress. I told you about the mentally ill man who was screaming about the deli numbers when I was there. That deli is the site. It's like there's a vortex of energy there. I got to say, normally they do a really good job. For me, at least, not for you. But there was the mentally ill man who got really mad at them because they weren't using the numbers. It goes to show you. I had a poor experience at Gelson's. I had a poor consumer experience.
What do you say we get this, make like the Beatles and get this show on the roof?
Down. I think it's about time to get this podcast off the roof. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back to Boys Bible Study, the only podcast that is more popular than Jesus Christ. I'm Ash. I'm here with my co-host,
Julian Lennon.
Unfortunately, our co-host Scott couldn't be here today. He was photographed.
His, art girlfriend broke up the podcast.
I was going to say he was unfortunately photographed. We were all walking across the road, and he was using a different foot than us, and our fans are still sort of sifting through the symbolism to this day. But we will have to present this film without him. We are delving back into the work of one of our all-time favorite filmmakers, Ray Comfort.
Yep. We're getting comfortable.
We really are. We're putting on that old suit once again. That we slipped into something more comfortable, I think you could say, for this episode. And if you are either a longtime listener of the show or a fan of Christian media in general, no doubt you are comfortable with Ray Comfort, just as we are. The previous films of his that we've covered on the show, this is our 4th Ray Comfort film. We've done Christmas Gone Viral. We've done Audacity. And most recently we did Crazy Bible. You remember Crazy Bible?
What is that? You can't say that word.
No, he's okay with crazy. He doesn't bleep that one out. He bleeps out oh my God, and he bleeps out what the hell, but you can say crazy.
Yeah, well, I didn't think that Ray would find that offensive.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Considering he is constantly exploiting mentally ill people to get views on his videos. But the Crazy Bible, it's actually hard for you to remember the overarching theme, except for the big like crux of that video was the YouTuber, the like angry atheist YouTuber with like dyed red hair who was like what the fuck is wrong with you, Ray Comfort? And he kept like bleeping her out and writing the word expletive over her mouth. And then she like meets him and he's like, oh, and she's like, oh, it was I got to talk to Ray Comfort. Like she totally, just like everyone in his videos, is completely cucked by his like domineering energy and immediately folds under the slightest bit of pushback, which I might add I will do as soon as I get the pleasure of talking to him, which I hope to do one day.
I will drop to my knees and start, or at least give him a little bit of the Patreon share, I guess, for the amount of
dude. I will present my ass like a beta baboon as soon as I see that fucking 5 foot tall. I'm assuming he's like 5 foot tall. I don't know if that's
he's
true
from New Zealand, so he's probably like
he's upside down.
He's upside down
when you see him.
Yeah,
when you see him. You're right. Maybe it's just the fucking. Not to be so predictable with my national stereotypes here, but maybe the Lord of the Rings aspect of it is what's causing me to assume he might be 5 foot. Yeah. But I don't know. He always just seems like he's shorter than everyone he's talking to. He must be.
He's got a little man syndrome.
He sure does, but he's got the big man backing him up, so he doesn't need to worry about a thing. Ray Comfort, our favorite New Zealand minister, who is a YouTube phenom. He makes so much content.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. We like at Boys Bible Study, we love people who put in the work. And this man is always creating new videos all the time on the Living Waters channel. I know he has a team that works with him, but still, he does a lot of it. And many full-length movies, some of which are filmed like fictional movies. It's not just, man on the street, quick documentary stuff, although that was mainly the focus of
They
Genius.
are all intercut with that, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like Audacity had a narrative, but it also had a lot of it had characters watching Ray Comfort videos in the movie.
Yes.
Within the movie.
Yes. That is, to this day, why I believe that Audacity is his best work. Now, there's so many. We haven't barely gone through all. We've watched more than the average person has, but, still not nearly scratching the surface of his catalog. So, but I believe that Audacity is his magnum opus because it weaves narrative and man on the street so well. And that crazy gimmick where he's like, a character will be like, watch these videos by a guy named Ray Comfort. You'll really like them. And then it cuts to his own videos. That I love when a filmmaker does that. That's fantastic. But all of Ray Comfort's films, they have a theme. They have a point of meditation, a point of focus that drives the whole thing. And for Genius, this focus is none other than everyone's favorite singer-songwriter, John Lennon.
Oi, governor. I'm chilling here with the Queen Elizabeth.
Now, John, I please don't mind me, but I have to ask you this question. So, in an interview recently, you said that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And many Americans are finding this very offensive. Can you clarify this at all? What do you have to say about this?
Did I stutter the first time, love?
I mean, no, I thought you were pretty eloquent with it, but you have to understand that for people who take their faith seriously, this is kind of a disturbing thing to hear from such a popular musician.
Yeah, sorry, I can't hear you all the way up on the roof. You're going to have to speak up down there.
In this film, in Genius, Ray Comfort, because what Ray wants to do, he wants to connect with the people on the street.
Yeah.
He wants a reason to ask people on the street questions. And he
He
wants
needs a reason to get out of the house.
He does. He's like any of us. He needs a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And if that's, screaming at strangers and like getting in their faces and filming them and basically treating them like cattle and then posting videos of them online for everyone to see and judge them.
Finding I like watching his videos because it feels like the only time you can see like actual real looking people.
Yes.
Like the average American represented on camera. Because there's some strange people that he finds.
I completely agree. To me, the number one takeaway from watching Ray Comfort videos is like you get the sense of being lost in the vast sea of humanity in a way that, many people describe when they're like at an airport or a train station. You just sort of see people like milling about in a very utilitarian way, just everyone just moving through a sea to try to get to their destination.
Yeah.
I feel that when I watch Ray Comfort videos, like you're watching the average person being presented with a man who has a political motivation to engage you in conversation, and you're seeing how the average person reacts to that. Mm-hmm. It's very humanizing to me.
Yeah, and just how easily people are swayed. I mean, it's hard to tell just because, and we've talked about this before, that, you don't know who is sincerely invested in this conversation and who is like just trying to say whatever they can to get him to get the fuck out of their face.
Right. Yeah, that is true. And I'm always sort of trying to parse that when I watch his interviews. But I think that one must admit while watching his that a considerable fraction of the people he speaks to seem genuinely moved by him.
Yeah.
And I think that that's not so much the fact that the Christian story of forgiveness is that compelling, and just simply the fact that most people are moved by the most recent thing that has been told to them. Like, not even in just like an ideological way, like just straight up, like, I mean, there's people still talk to the Scientology people all the time. Are having long conversations with the Scientology people. I see it every day.
I mean, all that you got to do is be in a spot where you're just like desperate for any human interaction. Like, you may not realize it, but that's all you want. And be it like an argument with one of those people, or a Ray Comfort type person, or, you know, you actually like the one guy in Genius at the end who was like, I don't think it, or he like, I just think it's like interesting that we ran into each other today.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like,
God, it's like, okay, is that guy going to be making Living Waters videos now, like after this interaction,
or is it just interesting that this is the only person who's ever come up to me and like started talking? Yeah. No, you're right. I think people are so lonely.
Yeah.
Like, so lonely. And
I can attest to that.
Sure. Yeah. And it's just like, honestly, someone coming up and talking to you and seeming to take a genuine interest in you, even as a total stranger, I think that's that really does mean a lot to people. But, you know, it's just so psycho because I don't know, like, you know, whenever I would work customer service jobs and stuff, you know, I would think about that, and I would be told that by, you know, how much people appreciate, you know, being like, I mean, they're essentially being like, pretend to take an interest in this person because they will appreciate it. And my God, it's true. Like, you know, if you work, as many of us know, you work customer service, it's like, you're basically being like an escort for people. Like, I don't mean to overuse that word and like, you know, like cheapen it, but like there's elements of that. You know, it is like people like the attention. That's why I think a lot of people are customers.
Yeah.
It's wild out there.
There's just, you know, a low self-esteem. It's the most popular disease in America.
Wow. The opiate of the masses.
and you know, if it's like, you know, you see people who are like, you know, they'll just go out with whoever is like the first person to ask them out.
Sure.
Because, you know, it's like, oh, finally a person, you know, sure, he started by asking me if I'd ever committed adultery or if I'd steal $10 million from a vault if I knew I wouldn't get caught. But, you know, it was just nice to have somebody who's up front and, you know, ask me out to dinner. And like, that seems like he preys on people like that. And I don't mean 100%. He's a praying for them before he goes bet.
Nope. Yeah, the preposition is very important in this case. Praying on or praying for.
And so I just think it's a lot of people who are just like, you know, like you said, you're the first person to come up and talk to me in so long.
Yeah. So
plus he has a camera and a microphone, so of course you're gonna like either just be like no thanks or let's do this. Not like an in between.
That's very true. And yeah, you know, people's relationships with being documented nowadays are very interesting. You know, almost everyone is ready to appear in front of a camera in some capacity. People, even just your average person, just sort of knows like when they're on, they're on, which I find interesting. I think that the camera is sort of a coercion tactic in his case because, I mean, not only do most people not really have the guts to just turn around and walk away from a conversation,
right?
Especially so when it's on camera. I mean, people routinely subject themselves to like humiliating interviews that like go viral on TikTok or YouTube or Living Waters, I guess. And that always just blows my mind. I mean, every day you see someone like asking, like some kid asking like other kids to do like simple math problems and they can't do it, and everyone being like, what's wrong with this generation? And it's like, why is anyone subjecting themselves to this public humiliation? I think really the answer is just to feel something for a couple seconds, you know?
Yeah. We all just want answers for the chaos
Yeah.
in our everyday life.
That's true. The average person has low self-esteem and they want answers. And someone appears on the scene who can solve all of these problems.
A little 5'2" guy.
Yeah, a little
hobbit.
A 5'2" man with a very
his dog with matching sunglasses.
Yeah. And his bizarre voice and mannerisms, and he takes you there instantly. So again, Genius is about John Lennon, and John Lennon is his point.
Strange subject matter for Ray Comfort.
It is, and it's the beginning conversation starter. The first thing he asks people, he says, "Who is John Lennon?"
It was John Lennon.
The singer of the Beatles?
He was a member of the Beatles.
The man that has a late night show?
One person said late night talk show host.
I liked that. That was good.
Who is John Lennon?
Who's John Lennon?
Competitive eater?
Not
quite.
Don't think so. He was, and this may come as a shock to you, one of the most popular singer-songwriters of all time. Even, one might argue, more popular than Jesus Christ.
Wow.
It's
so funny because there's so many people who have been so much more popular than the Beatles and John Lennon since.
Oh, 100%.
It's like every year there's somebody who's like 10 times more popular than John Lennon and the Beatles.
The kid who wears a suit and eats Burger King in his car.
Yeah.
Arguably more popular than both the Beatles and Jesus Christ. Let us not forget our favorite K-pop singing dancing boys, BTS.
Yeah.
More popular than the Beatles.
I mean, the Eagles' Greatest Hits Volume 2 outsold like all the Beatles albums in America.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There's a thing that young gay guys say online, especially when they're comparing their favorite musicians. I'm telling you this, I'm gay-splaining this to you. This is where someone will be like, let's say there's two gay guys arguing about their favorite divas, and the Mariah Carey fan will say like, Mariah outsold, and that means like, Mariah performed better than your favorite artist who you're talking to. Sometimes, this will be deployed ironically. Zara Larson outsold, whatever. But
I had a friend in high school who tried to tell us that Pizza Hut was the best pizza because it was the best selling pizza in America.
Interesting. Making a quantitative food opinion is very interesting to me.
That's why I was like, it's fine if you like Pizza Hut, but you can't say it's like objectively the best because it's like the largest chain.
Right. Yeah, that's a very interesting type of object to make a quantitative judgment about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's true for like any art, or
I suppose
it's not like, you're not like, oh, who's the best home run hitter? Probably the guy who hit the most home runs.
Sure. But
it's like, who's the best artist? You wouldn't be like, oh, it's Thomas Kincaid. He sold the most paintings.
Yeah, and I mean, look at all the light in those things too. And they're about subjects that I like. They're about houses and fairies and Star Wars. Yeah. But it's a good conversation starter to ask people, especially he's on like Hollywood Boulevard. Mm-hmm. He's asking people, who is John Lennon? And they're like
interviewing a Michael Jackson impersonator at one point.
That's so
really
meta.
Funny.
He's a genius. Yeah. He's actually a genius. He's like a Nathan Fielder level, like wrangler of mentally ill people. First of all, like how ready people are to talk to him. But who is John Lennon? And someone's like, he's my favorite singer.
So many people.
Like, cool. I mean,
he's my hero.
He's great. he's a great songwriter. One of the best. I will honestly say. But it's just funny in the context of Ray deploying this obviously like nakedly manipulative like conversation. He's like a pickup artist. He's a pickup artist for Christ.
How many people honestly think that John Lennon is like their like great favorite singer
A lot of people.
But do you think that has to just be because like you're not listening to a lot of music, or you just don't want to be like, because it's like the Beatles, they're good. I like the Beatles. I haven't listened to the Beatles in years, probably, because there's so much other shit out there that I would rather listen to. But for a lot of people, it feels like that society has deemed it like you have to say that they're the best.
Right.
Like, just so we all have something we can like agree on.
I think that's it. I think that there is something there. I mean, I don't want to be like a Beatles hater for the sake of them being so popular. I mean, I when I was young, I spent so many hours listening to the Beatles. Like, I definitely love the Beatles. But I agree. It's one of those things that like we all need to agree on something. And that is, you got to imagine. Imagine, guys. Imagine. One of my favorite vintage Everything is Terrible clips is this infomercial for like John Lennon themed jewelry. And you know how like on QVC they're constantly improving?
Yeah.
They're actually much like radio people, like Howard Stern having to do 4-hour shows, or like those preachers who like do the revivalist meeting, so they have to preach for like 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
QVC is very similar to that. They have to just keep riffing. But, it's women who look like your mom who have to do like Howard Stern level shock jock riffing about like jewelry. And there's this Everything is Terrible compiled, this John Lennon jewelry sale where there's like, it says like Imagine, and it has John Lennon's face on it. And she's going like, and this is the kind of thing I want to give to my kids and say, hey guys, imagine. Like, I think about that a lot. But yeah, I mean, Imagine by John Lennon is the perfect example of, beautiful song, iconic melody, and the lyrics are so perfectly inspiring and generic and like just the tiniest bit edgy, with the fact that it's like, vaguely anti-religious, but like not enough to really be anti-Christian.
I mean, they spun it into a pro-Christian thing.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Pro-religion thing.
Yes, he did. There was a whole segment at the very end of the video where he goes, in traditional fast-talking Ray Comfort level, he's going, and it's like, and the song, if you replaced heaven with New York, imagine there's no New York. It's easy if you try. What he's trying to say is there actually is a heaven, because you can't imagine. It's like, Ray, whoa, slow down.
An atheist once said that Imagine is an anthem for atheism. But think about it for a moment. If I said imagine there's no New York, it's easy if you try, I'm saying that New York is a real place, but let's imagine or pretend that it isn't. So the song is actually acknowledging the existence of heaven and hell as real places.
Like Ray's like, you spilled your Adderall on the floor and your dog ate it, and is like, but your dog like learned to talk. I don't know where I'm going with this, but he's just like freaking out, and you're like, whoa, Ray, like you need to like drink a glass of water and sit down, because like I don't understand where you're going with this.
Yeah, he's seems like willfully leaving large parts of John Lennon's life and career out of this documentary to tenuously link him to like being a Christian.
That's very interesting, because I was curious to see how much he was going to editorialize on the morality of John Lennon.
I thought this was going to be like John Lennon is dangerous.
John Lennon's in hell.
I mean,
right?
he's really only dangerous to the women that he lets into his life.
Well, but no, I thought that like Ray, maybe I was being too I was thinking very low of Ray, but I thought it was going to be like, oh, but you think John Lennon's in heaven, but he's actually not. He's burning in hell.
Help me, help. I need somebody. Help. I'm burning in hell.
Yeah, he doesn't quite, though. Now, this also had me thinking of, if you remember when we watched the documentary Hell's Bells, the anti-rock and roll documentary, there's that amazing segment where, I'm blanking on the host's name, but where he says, John Lennon he he filled like a condom with water and like threw it at nuns.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, and then he like pissed out of his hotel room window, and he was like, rain from heaven or whatever. So this person claims, no idea the source of this. Ray doesn't seem to know about that. Ray does, of course, bring up the famous the Beatles are more popular than Jesus Christ anecdote, which Ray says that he thinks that John honestly thought that was true because church in Britain is not fun.
Yeah.
This is Ray's point of view.
He said they had to like sit on a concrete block in the middle of a graveyard in the rain while like that was their church.
Traditional church services in 1960s England were a little dull, with dry hymns and monotone priests and ministers who preached lifeless sermons to a group of sad, elderly people. They often sat in a cold stone building that was appropriately surrounded by a graveyard.
That was what he said. I can't. In typical Ray fashion, he presents things so overwhelmingly as fact and then just moves on before you have a time to really parse it. So we're sort of left picking up the pieces. I mean, having this conversation immediately afterward is like very helpful to me because it's like I can finally reflect on the experience that we've been through together. But
I mean, you've seen what school looks like in England. They put the little kids on the conveyor belt and it falls into the meat grinder while the guy yells about pudding.
Man, it is a backward society over there, dude. I'm glad we got on our ships and got the fuck out of there, man.
Yeah, for real.
Man.
They're acting like this fucking 96-year-old lady was going to live forever. Oh my God, I can't believe she's dead. Bro, she's been dead for months.
Well, there was actually, I mean, many people cited this, but I guess like
many people are citing this.
Well, one of the King Charleses, I can't remember which one. No one knows. King Charles II. I guess perhaps him. I guess the story is that he was like on death's door and they literally like killed him by injecting him with cocaine because they wanted to kill him before like the next day's newspaper came out.
Whoa.
I don't know if that's an urban legend. I read this. Someone tweeted it, so I took it as fact. I think
I believe the Queen has been dead for quite some time.
Okay.
They were just trying to organize everything before they announced it.
Sure, it's like how you do a quick vacuum right before your friends come over.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah. A very backward society, and Ray thinks that this is to blame for why John Lennon might have just simply, non-cynically believed that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And and he really heavily relies on what is clearly like a PR spin answer that they told John Lennon to give when they came to America and found out that people were like refusing to play their records.
Right.
Where he's like, well, here's the thing. When I said we were bigger than Jesus, I meant literally we're taller than Jesus.
Yeah, he's like, I wasn't trying to put anybody down. And then actually watching that PR statement now, because they replicated it in Genius, was kind of funny because there is at one point where he is like, he seems like he's about to say like, and I was wrong to say that. But then he kind of catches himself saying that and is like, why am I saying that? And he kind of like trails off from that thought. But it's funny because you do see him under pressure.
Yeah.
Like feeling genuinely nervous about the bad press. I mean, he didn't live in the post-cancellation era where you want to court this controversy.
Right.
I mean, nowadays he would be playing the heel.
Yeah, he'd be doing his concert for Bangladesh on the Daily Wire.
Yeah, 100%. And he'd be taking photos where there'd be like duct tape over his mouth and it would say like, canceled on it or triggered on it or something like that.
He'd be doing his laying in bed for a 48-hour live stream on theblaze.com.
On the Blaze's
laying in
YouTube
bed
channel.
with Glenn Beck and Steven Crowder.
And you'd be like, thank you to Imagine 420 for the bits.
Doing a rooftop concert with Kyle Rittenhouse on the drums. I'd like to introduce the fifth Beatle. This man defended himself when all of society was crumbling around him.
Or he could just
TikTok
be like
duets with Kyle Rittenhouse
John
and that
Lennon
girl and his girlfriend.
Yeah, and yeah, or he could just be like Ringo and just chilling out, selling his paintings, and occasionally flashing the peace sign at people.
I wonder. I feel like if John was still around, John Lennon of the Beatles, that is, if he was still around, he would be like the Johnny Rotten or like Vincent Gallo type of artist, where it's like I feel like he would be a Trump guy or a Brexit guy.
You know,
Every band's got to have one.
Yeah. And like, I actually tend to agree with you on that. I know it's, pretty impossible to speculate, but I just feel like you can get hints of that in the things he says. Like,
he's always like one of those people who's like trying to like outsmart the next level.
Yeah.
Like trying like kind of like fucking Kyrie Irving or something.
Sure.
If like we're looking for a sports analogy of like, because he's just the bastard of like being like answering the question with a question in like a snarky way of being like, why are you, I said the earth was flat, but I mean, I was just calling attention to like how stupid you would be for thinking that, for just accepting every answer you're taught in school.
Right. Yeah.
And those people tend to become more conservative as like they get called out for being just generally stupid.
Yeah. I get that impression from little things from John's interview. I mean, Ray even brings up, like, I guess I didn't know this. I'm trusting Ray on this, as I usually do. I trust Ray to be the arbiter of most information that comes before me. But Ray cites an anecdote that apparently John was briefly converted to Christianity by watching a movie about Jesus on television. And then
I love these fucking like chain letter anecdotes that he gets that are like 3 reasons John Lennon was a Christian.
Yeah.
No citations. Was this one of the ones where it was like a word bubble, a word cloud thing?
Yeah, it might have been, but because Ray did use a lot of really fucked up word clouds in this documentary. But it says that or I wrote down that John was briefly converted by a movie, but then he went on to write the very blasphemous song "Serve Yourself." So Ray attributes this to a false conversion. Notably, Ray also attributes John Lennon's assassin, Mark David Chapman, to a false conversion, because according to a news story, Mark David Chapman said he was saved when he was 16.
Oh, right.
Yet he murdered John Lennon. So by your own admission, you're a murderer.
Well, he was told he would get $10 million.
Okay.
And he would get away with it.
Let's continue with the interview. So Ray,
the John Lennon thing is such a small part of this documentary.
It's incredible.
Most of the documentary is him asking people if they would steal $10 million if they knew they wouldn't get caught.
Okay.
And then if they would murder someone for $10 million if they knew they wouldn't get caught.
Yes.
That is the bulk of the 33 minutes.
Okay. Ray Comfort's dialogue tree in this documentary is, first, number 1, who's John Lennon? And then someone's like, I love him. He sang Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah.
And then Ray's like, how did John Lennon die? And someone would be like, a plane crash? And then he'll be like, okay,
I think he starved to death on the roof.
It was a damn shame.
Yeah,
Nobody
they took
could
the
get
ladder
him off.
away. Hey, where's a ladder?
Well,
We're done with the
problem
concert.
was they only had a ladder in feet when it should have been in meters. So it wouldn't work with the building.
It wasn't tall enough.
It wasn't tall enough.
It was only 3 feet tall.
I said I wanted a 3-meter ladder. They gave me a 3 feet ladder.
It was like the Stonehenge in a Spinal Tap, except they died of dehydration.
Yeah, then he asked, how did John Lennon die? Some people know, some people don't. Then he jumps to, okay, if you went down a trap door, and somehow like at the bottom of this trap door, there was a room filled with endless money, and you like billions of dollars. You couldn't even tell how much money there is, and you were able to steal $2 million without getting caught. would you do it?
Okay, I've got a scenario for you. Find a secret trapdoor leading into their vault where there's billions of dollars. So much money, they haven't got a clue how much is there. You can take $2 million and you will not get caught for sure. Would you take the money?
Yes.
What about you?
I think about it first.
Okay, think about it. $2 million.
Yes, I would. Yes.
Would you take the money?
Honestly?
Of course.
I'd take it and give it to charity.
Yes.
I probably will be tempted, but I won't do it.
If it was from the Federal Reserve, I may take the money.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
It's probably insured.
First of all, it's probably
I don't understand the idea that you wouldn't ask, like, is it morally okay for someone to be keeping billions of dollars in a trap door while people are like starving to death on the roofs of England? And you're asking if it's okay to steal $2 million, especially when one person was like, I would give it to charity.
Well, yeah, and also like this is just such an obtuse Ray question. I love every way you think about this question. I love, because it's like, yeah, first of all, like whose money is this?
Yeah,
whose money is it? There's a trapdoor filled with billions. Who am I stealing? Implies taking it from someone else. Like,
who the fuck is keeping their money in a trap door?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's not like it's like the fucking St. Jude's Children's Hospital or whatever.
Right. And like, I mean, honestly, that would probably be like a better question. It would still be absolute nonsense because it's a fucking hypothetical. But like, maybe a better question would be like, you're at somebody's house.
Yeah.
Even like that's the most vague thing. But all Ray asks is, if you went down a trap door and there was billions of dollars there.
Because if you add qualifiers to it, then suddenly you can poke a lot of holes in the logic.
Exactly. But when
then
everyone
you get into
goes,
like relative morality.
Well, we have something to
he
say
doesn't
about
like
that.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, hell yeah, I would. And
Yeah.
Ray bleeps out hell because this is a Christian presentation. Which
One guy says, if it's from the Federal Reserve, I will.
I missed that somehow.
It was the dude he interviews on the plane, somehow interviewing somebody on an airplane.
Oh my God. I forgot the fact that he is such a psycho.
Yeah.
Beyond psycho. Ray Comfort is to subject the person sitting next to you on a plane with a Christian interview.
Dude,
You're
I would
stuck.
love to be on a plane next to Ray Comfort.
Oh my God.
And it's very possible.
I would love to talk to him.
I bet if you just routinely flew from Los Angeles to New Zealand or Australia, you could get on a flight with him.
Totally.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's the same flight they take in Lost. So I wonder if like
Really?
Ray Comfort he should have been on the island in Lost.
Yeah, I can't believe it was so crazy how they flew to New Zealand and they all got stuck on that roof. Like it's very strange what happened to them. What a bizarre story.
And what was Billy Preston doing there? They say he's the fifth Beatle, but they can't find him on the flight manifesto.
So Ray gets everyone to gleefully say that they would take $2 million. But then the next question ups the ante a little bit. The question, if you were hanging out, I'm phrasing it like in a way that Ray would never. If you were somehow with a woman and she said that her husband was a rat.
Yeah.
And if you would just put a drop of arsenic in his drink, she'll give you $2 million and you won't get caught.
I thought it was 10 million.
He ups it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it starts with 2,
starts
and then
with
he's
2,
like,
and then
"Oh,
goes
it's
to
about
10.
10 million."
Yeah, he just keeps raising the money until people will say yes
Yeah, and then he's like,
to this fucking completely hypothetical thing.
I've got another dilemma for you. This lady wants to get rid of her husband. She says he's a rat. All you have to do is drop 1 tablet of arsenic into his coffee when he's not looking. You will get away with it. You'll not get caught. And she'll give you $10 million cash. Would you do it?
Yes.
What about you?
Do it for free.
Don't cut it out.
No, I would.
I call my buddy Ronnie to do it for $20 and I'll take the rest.
So this question, I actually think it's pretty hilarious that most people are like, yeah, to this question.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what do you mean?
One guy said he would do it for free. He was just being edgy, but
probably, but
it's still like I don't think I would kill somebody for $2 million.
Absolutely not. No,
I don't think I would kill somebody for $10 million.
Also, I love the way.
I would need a little more information about this guy.
I wouldn't kill. I would
need
not
some hard evidence.
I personally would not kill someone for any amount of money.
I don't know if I could bring myself to end another human being's life.
Nope,
but if they were like really bad,
I couldn't do it. I could in self-defense, but
yeah,
I for an amount of money, I could not do murder.
Yeah, if it's anything like my dreams, I will not be able to do it in self-defense either.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we may find out by the end of this episode.
It's. I also love that. Again, this question might be a little more interesting if Ray was like, what if this woman told you her husband was abusive or the husband was like a rapist or something?
Yeah.
He doesn't even do that. He says, she tells you her husband is a rat,
yeah.
Which is somehow the most New Zealand thing I can think of anyone saying, even though I'm sure that's not just from that country. But everyone's like, yeah, I would do it. And there's the one woman with the perfectly penciled on eyebrows and the nose ring. And she is like, what do I care? I don't know the guy. And Ray like freeze frames on her face.
Yeah,
and then
she's like the rockabilly one, right?
Right. Yeah. She's probably a Nazi, so it makes sense. But
yeah, that was the most psychotic answer.
Yes.
Which didn't seem like she was doing it just to be edgy, but we should probably give her a little bit benefit of the doubt.
Well, it's
people are
funny.
always fucking with him, and he takes their answers like.
Yeah, it's very, again, it's a very gray area thing with Ray. He knows when people are playing along with him, and he chooses to take certain things at face value just for the benefit of his media. But there does seem a time with some people where they move from fucking with him to just being in conversation with him. I think it might either just be because they pass the point of no return with the fact that they're now have spent like 15 minutes with this guy.
Yeah.
And they just get worn down. Also, there's many interviews where we just don't see how they get resolved. Like, I don't think we ever watch him missioning to the girl with the nose ring.
No.
Like, she might just dip before that time. But we do get to hear her say like, yeah, who cares? I don't know the guy. And then Ray takes the pictures of 8 different people who answer yes to a completely hypothetical question. And he does an editing technique where he puts all their pictures up in black and white. And then he transforms their pictures, each one, into the face of a different mass murderer. Yeah. Like, for instance, Charles Manson.
And Ted Bundy and like the fucking Virginia Tech shooter was in there too.
Oh my God, that's right. And it's just like, he uses that as like a visual presentation about like relative morality. Like, I think at that point in the thing, he's already done this thread where he's like, on evolution and relative morality. And that's what changed these people into murderers. Editing switch. And he's calling some random guy on the street the Virginia Tech shooter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was also him telling people before he went into like he said without God and God's rules, we would become monkeys again.
Right.
Which is like kind of a funny statement to be making about monkeys.
Right.
That they're just atheists who have no sense of morality.
I mean, he might argue that, but
it is true, but it's also, I mean, it's like, do fucking birds have like, it's like the idea that monkeys are like capable of, they just choose not to. They're capable of worshiping God and living moral lives, but they choose not to.
Right. Well, this is, the absolute morality thing has got to be one of the like conservative Christian concepts that I personally struggle with the most. Like one of the few things that really just like makes me shut down, even though if I was in like a Ray Comfort style shouting match with him where he does this thing where he suddenly gets really angry for no reason, and he'd be like, well, what is there before God, Ash?
Yeah.
What is there? Which he just selectively does start screaming at people. Especially I've noticed when people oppose his ideas about evolution.
Right.
He gets really mad. But the absolute morality thing gets me, the fact that unless you say, I have a Christian faith in God, you don't really have a reason to not kill someone. There's no real reason. I find this argument very difficult to grapple with.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many other reasons why someone might have a taboo about not stealing or not killing. There's no other reason for people to have a taboo against killing people or stealing things without God. Ray draws a very selective conclusion that all the people he spoke to who said they did have faith in God, they were the ones most sure about their position about not killing someone.
Yeah, he kind of just keeps asking you where. It's sort of like the Big Bang thing where he's like, where did that come from? Well, then where did that come from?
Right.
Until he can get to a point where you can't answer. And then he's just like, well, that's where God comes in.
Exactly.
And it's just really funny that like he tries to tear down the people who are like, I would steal the money, but I would not kill the person.
Right.
To be like, well, you're on the same level as people who would kill the person too.
Well, there you go. That's the absolute morality too.
Yeah, but it's like there's so many questions to be asked about his hypotheticals.
Certainly. And yeah, I mean, he gets into that even more explicitly at the end where he says, the part where someone says, I don't believe in hell. And then Ray says, well, if I told the judge I didn't believe in the electric chair and then I got sentenced to death, well, that doesn't change my fate, does it? And the person's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't think they say that, but that's what I'm saying when I'm watching him. But, what he's trying to say when he says that is like, it really does all come equally. All sin is technically equal. Sin is a pass-fail. It's a binary thing, You either sin, you are either with sin or without sin. Murder is a sin. Lying is a sin. Taking the Lord's name in vain. Like that poor guy where he says, oh, what? Like, oh my God. And then Ray's like, well, I'm going to have to bleep out you saying that. And the guy goes, oh, okay. Like in what seemed to me like a genuinely...
He made him sin.
Yeah, Ray made him sin.
He's damned
on
a man
camera.
to hell.
He seriously did. And this guy was just straight up like with seemingly genuine concern was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
One of the many like cattle that Ray found. Just like pure cattle brain.
I wish Ray would just take a fucking like No Country for Old Men style. That's what I keep thinking they're going to do when he's like, are you prepared to absolve your sins? Are you prepared to absolve your sins? Flip the coin.
I wish he would. Like, God, I wish he was here right now.
Put the little cattle charger up to his head or whatever it's called.
The cattle prod?
No, it's the like little compressed air gun that he uses in that movie on people's heads. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that Ray were here. What would you say to Ray? Would you talk to Ray?
I think I would have to.
I need to talk to Ray,
but I don't know. I tend to get like for a person who enjoys pranks and is a relatively outgoing person, I get very nervous about stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what I would do because I would be like, only I would be in on the bit in the situation,
right.
Or like it would just be, never meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes. It's true. I guess I want to tell Ray, like
he's out there, he's trying to do a job.
No, he's not. I want to tell Ray, like, I don't even really know what I want to get from it. I just like, I want to encounter Ray in space, like two atoms bouncing off of each other, like in a fucking molecular compound or whatever. Like first I want to tell Ray, huge fan of your work. Yeah. Love what you do. Seen all your movies. Like, I just want to know like what he says. Like, I want to know, like, would he talk to me? Would he try to like, one up me for like not being a good Christian because I like said that some of the stuff he does is insane? Or I don't know what I would try to do. I would want to have an authentic interaction with him, but I couldn't because I'm already so Ray-pilled that I know what he's going to say. I know he's going to hit me with it would be like a dream that happened before. Mm-hmm. And he would be like, he'd start saying like, so by your own admission, I'd be like, you're a thief.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an adulterer, right? Yeah, you said the line. Like he said the line type thing.
Ash, if you see me once, you've done good. If you see me twice, you've been a sinner, an adulterer,
a fornicator.
Yeah, it's like I wish we could have run into him before we start watching his stuff, and then started watching his stuff.
I know,
but now it's tainted. We've
tainted.
We've eaten from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah, we've eaten from the apple from Apple Records. What else happened in this movie? We saw one of his. He slipped some homosexual stuff in there.
Yes. He interviewed.
This particular person said that he was a cross-dresser.
Yeah. Well, that was what Ray said.
No, the interviewer subject actually said, "I enjoy cross-dressing."
Oh, I thought Ray said you're a cross-dresser, and the person said yes.
I remember the line, you know, I won't assume pronouns, but it was someone from like an older generation. So there's someone from an older generation. So I'm going to assume that, you know, I mean, this obviously isn't like a catch rule for everything, but generally the older generations of people who are more gender fluid, like are a little, you know, less fast and loose with pronouns, like usually not always, of course, but I wouldn't be, based on what this person said, I would not be surprised if they used he pronouns and identified as like a cross-dresser or something. But you know, I'll use they pronouns for now. But yeah, Ray interviews like a cross-dresser who is like, seems to be pretty genuinely Christian, and is like, oh yeah, I read the Bible regularly, and you know, I know many homosexuals who, you know, they accept themselves and they're a part of the church. And Ray cuts out all the rest of that conversation and then ends with the interview subject saying to Ray, "I respect what you do." Right. Which is like, first of all, why?
I mean, I think that was just, you know, trying to get out of the conversation.
Yeah, totally.
In a cordial way. Yeah.
Yeah. And as this person is walking away, Ray zooms the camera in on this, you know, this person, this, you know, gender fluid in some capacity person, and writes the Bible verse about homosexuality on the screen.
Yeah.
And just, you know, in a way that is different from all of the rest of the interviews, because this person, their sin is written on their face because of how they appear. Right. Like that is what's very interesting to me about Ray and like transgenderism. Like, you know, I'm using that as a total catch-all term, but because that's the only sin that you can like see on a person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it depends on like literally like the clothes that they wear. Right. Which is, that's just crazy to me. I'm sorry. Like, of all the sins in the world, it's like, it's that to me, like that fact alone shows to me that like, you know, gender bending, being gender fluid, being transgender isn't a sin, because it's like, how is there only one sin that's based on the clothes you wear? Right. And that's it. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. You know?
I mean, yeah, well, we were looking at some of the Fashion Week photos, and you could see there's some pretty prominent sins there.
Yes, Hunty.
Yeah, it's strange that it's just, you know, that moral absolutism, that killing somebody for $10 million is the same as
wearing lipstick.
Wearing, you know,
if you were born a man.
Your whatever non-socially assigned clothing,
right?
However you want to say it.
Sure. No, it's insane. It's
so great.
It's so insane.
Like, how does that affect anybody else other than it makes people who are uncomfortable with their own sexuality, horny, and they
100.
don't know how to process it.
100. But you know, Ray slips a little bit in there.
And it is a sin to make other people horny.
Well, that
you
is
get so
for
much
sure,
more
dude.
work done if people would quit doing that.
Dude, we need to all wear burqas, men and women.
Yeah, I agree.
It's distracting, dude. We shouldn't be showing this much skin all the time.
Yeah.
I'm wearing fucking shorts with 15-inch inseams like a slut. I'm parading my ass around this lost city. Los Angeles, the Angels, more like Los Diablos, if you ask me.
Somebody told me that it's to be a rocket, you have to have a certain length of inseam.
Okay.
I just thought that was interesting.
Okay.
You said
cool.
inseam, and my mind went there.
Well, you know, you inseam, you lose seam.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't bring up the like John Lennon and like Paul and George and Ringo like sucking each other's dicks.
He did not bring them
out.
jacking off. He did not bring up them jacking off together. No.
Yeah, because that would have seemed like a good time to bring that up and then be like, well, then he learned from his mistakes.
Jacking off with your homies isn't gay.
But is it a sin? I mean, you've lusted after your homies' cock and balls.
Well, what if it's purely? What if they were all donating sperm?
That's not part of the hypothetical. You're in a trap door. Yeah, you fall through a trap door. Your best friends are all jacking off. Do you join in?
Hell yeah, I would.
And would you eat the biscuit afterwards?
Would you do it for $2 million? I'd do it for free.
I don't care. I don't know these people.
I don't know these people. I don't care who's cum I'm eating. Yeah, many hypotheticals left to explore. What else is interesting from this? It comes out against internet music piracy.
This one is really all over the place.
It really was. He says he's trying to get this couple into admitting that they've sinned. And he's like, you ever pirated music that wasn't yours? And the guy's like, oh, you got me.
Oh my God.
It's like,
he's really reaching for this one.
He's reaching.
It's funny because he just ends up being like so just like on the side of just law and order.
Yes.
And like he just becomes extremely like authoritarian.
Right.
In his like ideas because he's so rigid in what he thinks is a sin and what is not a sin.
Right. And yeah, for him, the laws of the land are, you're absolutely right. It can only be black and white.
Yeah. Because if you're pirating music, you're more than likely stealing from a record label that has an artist signed to like an unfair contract where they keep like most of the money.
Exactly. And so that doesn't, you can't really afford to think about things.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's just stealing.
The artist, they signed the paper, they entered into the contract. It's legal.
Yeah. But it's just like stealing even from like, that's what I would want to like.
Stealing an intangible object of which can be endlessly replicated.
Yeah. From
a corporation that is usually like non-creative people who are capitalizing off of like other people's creative work. Not always, usually.
None of this information was included in his hypothetical. That's why I would want to like talk to him. But I don't want to like, I wouldn't want to come off as like one of those obnoxious like atheist people.
No. That's
argues with him because that's the fucking, you're gonna get edited into the thing to look like that.
Yeah.
When I just want to be like, well, what about like, I just want to know what he thinks.
Yes.
When presented with like hypotheticals that are maybe a little more nuanced.
No, that's exactly it. That's what I would want to get out of a conversation with him.
I want him to realize the world's a little more complicated than he lets it on to be.
Exactly. That's the thing. I wouldn't try to tell him not to be a Christian. I definitely wouldn't tell him not to make his stupid fucking videos anymore because I need them. I want content from him every single day of my life. Please keep on keeping on. Ray, I do respect what you do, but I would enjoy, I would love for him to be like, yeah, have you ever pirated music before? You know that's a sin. And it could be like, Ray, it's not like I'm taking food from someone else's mouth. You know what I mean? It's like an MP3 file. Like,
I'll buy a shirt for the band. And that'll be worth like if I had bought like 15 of their songs.
Absolutely. if you stream on Spotify, you're basically stealing from people.
Exactly.
Like, come on. It's, you want to go through this with Ray. You want to be like, yeah, Ray, why am I going down a trapdoor?
Yeah.
Exactly. Why? What circumstances have led me to the trapdoor?
Yeah. And then it's always like, and you'll never get caught.
Well, perfect.
So yeah, of course I would do it. But then like, isn't like me being punished for this in the afterlife getting caught?
That's getting caught.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you can't say that I would never get caught if I'm going to face consequences for my actions.
Right. And you haven't told me what if the person whose money it is a rat?
Exactly.
I would love to ask Ray, what is a rat to you?
Yeah.
Like, can you please explain?
If somebody said they were going to give me $10 million to kill their husband and the only reason they gave me was he is a rat, there's no way in hell I would ever do that.
Of course.
But, I don't know. I also wouldn't believe that someone was actually going to give me $10 million to do anything.
Exactly. So again, it's very funny too. I mean, Ray's just getting content like any of us. He's just creating content. But like for Ray to be like, this is proof that relative morality is failing people. Because if someone said to me, dude, if you accidentally...
Because someone said to a lonely student at Virginia Tech, I will give you $10 million if you kill your roommate. He's a rat.
I mean, I don't know, not Virginia Tech, but the FBI do be doing that to people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like on a frequent level.
The people who enforce the laws that are oftentimes based on biblical laws.
Yeah.
Are the ones who are like entrapping people in these.
100%. Listen, the only biblical law I believe in is the law of Moses, which is that if you have sex with me, we're legally married under the law of Moses.
Do you think, I wonder if Ray is like against marijuana and stuff like that?
He hints at that in this. He doesn't follow the thread, but he sees someone wearing a marijuana necklace and he says, do you think marijuana should be legalized? And the person's like, yeah. And the other woman's like, I'm smoking it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Never follows that thread. I think he kind of follows that it's, to be intoxicated is a crime. He talks to that, like, obviously ill, like, alcoholic person who says he's a Christian. And he's like, well, do you think that might be a false conversion? Because you use bad language and you're like, fucking diseased out in the street. Like, these people are ill.
Yeah, and he's just going around mocking them, essentially.
Like the lady with the Bluetooth headset, who is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
But is like ill.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know, it's a spectrum. I don't know how like she's like too ill that she can't like hold a job or do any of the quote unquote normal things that people seem to be able to do. But like, it's like, I mean, you see people acting like that and you're like, there's something gone with your brain chemistry. Like, I don't know what's going on with you.
Or just like, where are you? It's time to do a check-in. If you are walking around and you see a guy like Ray Comfort doing the IQ test.
Yeah.
And you decide to get into a screaming match with him in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
and be like, I am God. I am a Buddhist.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any of us look good.
So, I don't know. Should we wrap up with the IQ test?
I agree. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. He only did 3 of the questions.
He has this IQ test, so-called IQ test that's on a poster.
Mm-hmm. It's a picture. It says, test your IQ in chalk font.
Yeah.
And then it has a picture of Albert Einstein, a large picture of Albert Einstein. And then overlaid on that are several questions, but he only does the top 3. Number 1, how many, and play along at home. Number 1, how many of each animal did Moses take into the ark?
2.
Okay. Number 2, what is the name of the raised print that deaf people use?
Braille.
Okay. Number 3, now this one's weird because the question says spell the word shop. What do you do when ... But the actual question that he says is spell the word silk.
Silk.
And what do cows drink?
Milk.
Wrong. Cows drink water. The name of the deaf people don't need raised print to read because they can see. And,
wow, deaf people are amazing.
Moses didn't take any animals into the ark. Noah took 2 of each into the ark. So right there, you've proven that you're an adulterer, a thief, and an idiot.
Well,
the biggest sin of all, you're a dumbass. What is the point of the fucking IQ test?
Well,
I would really love to see that played.
First of all, I want to say Moses did take 4 Beatles into the ark. Second of all, yeah, I mean, I don't know how he knows how to like refer to this, but he does this. Oh, so this is what he does. He gets people into saying that they trust themselves. They don't trust God. They trust themselves. And then he's like, well, how about I fool you with my riddles 3 and you'll learn that you can't trust yourself, which again, doesn't make any sense because so you're deceiving me. You're intentionally deceiving me. I can trust myself. I can't trust you.
Yeah,
you're the one who's You're the one who's attempting to deceive me. Oh, but I'm trying to teach you a lesson. Second of all, it's just amazing. How does he come up with this stuff? He's a genius.
If this guy really was like sent to earth by God to, get us to admit our sins and pray for forgiveness, you think he would have sent, or she would have sent a more likable person?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
You know why? Because she's on her freaking period. I'm sorry.
Well, that's why the Antichrist is supposed to be such a good-looking, uniting person,
right?
Because God's an art hoe and loves to date problematic men.
Yeah, God's an art hoe who
dates abusers,
who dates ugly abusers because she has low self-esteem, and the Antichrist is
he's just got such a fascinating mind. Honestly.
Yeah.
And it's really talented.
Well, why so genius? That's what I had. That's what I was asking myself while I was watching this film. Why so genius? What did you think, Julian? Should we give this the official Boys Bible Study rating?
Yeah, I'm going to give this 8 out of 8 days a week. That's the same amount of time it took the rescue team to finally cut through the doors to the roof where the bodies of the Beatles were recovered. Unfortunately, they had all passed.
Very sad.
Yeah.
But
and that's how John Lennon died.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The answer to Ray's fabled question. As for me, I'm going to have to give this film, of course, a Revolution 9 out of 9.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9.
Say no more. Took the words right out of my mouth.
And I've got to say, this was a long and winding road of a film. But it led me to the conclusion that I need some help.
Yeah. When I look at Ray and the life he has, I feel kind of like a jealous guy.
Yeah.
And what are some other songs?
Well, I remember when God was showing me the Bible for the first time, and he said, will you read my book? It took me years to write. Can you take a look?
Yeah. I remember when Ray asked me, have you ever lusted after a woman? And I said, yeah, lovely Rita Meter Maid right over there.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And then, we went out to coffee after that. And she said, I'll give you $10 million if you kill my husband. He's a mean Mr. Mustard. I've got this silver hammer, belongs to my friend Maxwell. You can use.
Well, did you know that Moses took 2 walruses on the ark and 2 octopuses?
Mm-hmm. Do they have any more animal songs?
Trust me, my brain is like a slot machine that's going like cherry, and like the third one is just spinning and spinning, trying to connect like a neuron to this.
Yeah, I mean, I would really only when I was leaving coffee, I was really thinking about the decision. I accidentally fell through a trap door.
Yeah,
and there's a big pile of money down there.
Yeah,
and I was about to leave with some cash, and a guy stopped me and he said, "What are you doing with that money? That was for charity." And I was like, "Well, what charity?" And he said, "Well, it's for the benefit of Mr. Kite." There's so many fucking stupid songs.
Songs are so dumb. I like them, don't get me wrong.
I like them too.
I
mean, naming these songs, I'm like, that's a pretty good song, but that is some fucking Wiggles level shit.
I know, yeah.
It's like
they do be saying
children's songs.
They do be saying some dumb shit all the time.
Yeah.
Everyone knows, of course, the best Beatles song is Admiral Halsey, Uncle Albert by Paul McCartney and Wings.
Yeah, that is true.
That song fucks.
I honestly, and I stand by this, but the like Ram and some of those Wings songs are from Paul McCartney. Ram from Paul McCartney's solo career is, better than probably every Beatles album.
Interesting.
Yeah. He gets a bad rap, I feel like, because he's such a fucking like baby boomer.
Sure.
Like, oh, he's going on carpool karaoke and James Corden's crying. But Ram fucking rips, dude.
Paul McCartney's amazing.
It's so good.
They all make, I love George Harrison's solo.
Yeah.
I love All Things Must Pass. Oh God, who cares? This is so boring.
I got into I had an ex that tried to rake me over the coals through the court of Twitter.
Oh,
once because I said that Ringo Starr was better than the Grateful Dead, which is not. I like a couple Ringo Starr songs, but it's more of a statement on how I feel about the Grateful Dead.
Of course, yeah, of course. I'm more of a fan of Ringo Starr's paintings, but thank you everyone very much for listening.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. I'm warning you with peace and love. Go to boysbiblestudy.com.
Step away from the trap door. I'm warning you with peace and love.
You. Do not go up on that roof. I'm warning you with peace and love. If it's your first time listening to Boys Bible Study, go to boysbiblestudy.com to listen and subscribe on all your favorite podcasting apps. But do not send fan mail.
No more free feeds.
No. Please go to boysbiblestudy.com to subscribe to any place that you listen to podcasts. You can find a link to it there. If you really like what we do and you want to support, please go to patreon.com/boysbiblestudy. Anyone who subscribes for $5 a month or more gets access to our bonus episodes, which we do every other week. So please check that out. And a special thank you to our very generous patron saints at the $20 tier. Thank you so much for supporting our show. Nicole, Marissa, Jeff, Jane, Rhett, and Kara. Our outro music is Oh My God by Mary. From all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-hosts, Scott and Julian, we would like to say, peace be with you.
And peace and love be with you too, Governor.
And while you're at it, please get me down from the roof.
Please help. Help. Stuck up here.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when you enter me. Every day you take